Good evening, everybody, and welcome to NLAP. Tonight, we have a very exciting interview for you all. This is our ramp up to the 2025 election here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Today, we have a special guest who I've had the greatest opportunity to have a brief conversation with over the last little while about what it means to run as an independent candidate here in the Newfoundland and Labrador. Our guest today is a family man. He is the current mayor of Cormac here in Newfoundland and Labrador. He is your everyday man that has been committed to the province of Newfoundland. He has an invested interest in the future for our families, and I cannot wait to have this conversation. He is the only independent that I'm aware of that's running in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador right now, and he is a force to be reckoned with. He is all about change and progress. And without any further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Robbie Cole from Cormac.
Good evening, Dana. How are you?
Hi, Robbie. Yay! Thank you so much for
Can you hear me,
joining us
Dana?
today. I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Hi. Excellent. Yes, I can hear you great.
Awesome. Well, thank you for
How are you
giving
this
us your
evening?
time. I'm good. I'm really good. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you. I know you must be busy with all the questions and stuff in your area. So first and foremost, thank you so much for your time today. Yeah. So Robbie, why don't you just tell us about you, the man, the legend, the mayor of Cormac? I know, right?
I moved back. I'm originally from Parsons Pond in Northern Peninsula. Um, I, I'm, my wife and two daughters live in Cormac. We've been here since 2012, and I'm been the mayor of Cormac for about 4 years now in municipal politics for going on 8 years. I decided to get into politics as an independent candidate to push for the change that people need here in the district and across the province. And got 20 years domestic and international experience in oil and gas, and just looking to um, do my knowledge and skills and abilities that I've gained and push for change for people in Newfoundland and Labrador.
That's awesome. And I would assume that like being the mayor of Cormac, it's kind of giving you a bird's eye view into what you feel the changes that need to happen in your district, right? What are some of the things that you feel that your community is facing right now?
Well, I mean, we've all heard the same things across the country, across the province about the healthcare crisis, the cost of living, and in our province is a lack of economic growth and development and jobs that we have in the district. We need jobs to create change, to be able to people can afford to live and work and afford a life and a family and just overall be able to live a decent life. So the cost of living is a big one. The healthcare crisis is the ongoing issue. I guess we all think the carbon tax just got dropped, but I'm here to make sure that in Ottawa they make sure that's eliminated. I mean, we all seen the drop in price of fuel, which we should see a decrease in the cost of overall goods and services. So it's a positive, but we need to make sure that's eliminated altogether. And I'm hopefully looking to help eliminate the industrial carbon tax as well. I mean, they're key drivers for economic growth to be eliminated to promote economic growth in the region and across the province. So
Yeah, that's huge. It seems to be provincial wide that the similar issues. Like some people here in St. John's are waiting up to like 24 hours, and that's like in a major metropolitan area. Like, what do you guys do out there for healthcare? Like, do you guys have your own hospital? Do you have to commute somewhere else?
well, I mean, most of us for healthcare, we're gone to Corner Brook or Bombay. I mean, we've had as high wait times as 10, 12 hours for just basic care services. So to get in and see anybody, it's really tough. I mean, it's a strain across the whole system, especially for people in the district who have to travel, for any treatments that are in St. John's. I mean, the overall cost for them to travel to St. John's to get those treatments. It's hard on the pocketbook for everybody, and we have a new hospital here in Corner Brook because why aren't all those services available that are in St. John's here? And I think that's going to be a key aspect also is driving the healthcare system in the Western District and in the Central, making them similar and reflective to what's going on in St. John's, so people don't have to travel those distances for you know
For
basic
basic.
care or treatments as such.
Yeah, and I noticed recently that there's like a $50 million cut to the budget here in Newfoundland. I'm not sure if that's provincially or federally, but I'm sure that's going to impact any potential growth that we have in healthcare right now. So put that in your bonnet, and we hope you fight for that too, because we can't afford to
Yeah,
lose $50 million, right?
yeah. I mean, well, that's where we get back. I mean, we get back to the key driver of economic growth and development. I mean, if we can, we're a very resource rich province, so we're grossly underdeveloping our resources, and we're losing a lot of revenue because of it. And key drivers of that was the carbon tax and the oil and gas emissions cap that's implemented right now. I mean, that has to go. I mean, oil and gas is one of our beneficiary revenue generating incomes for the province. So, I mean, we need to push that. Instead of stalling it and preventing any more growth in there, we need to be full steam ahead. You know, uh, Development responsibly, and I think it's a key aspect of the growth we need to take care of the issues we have, like healthcare and infrastructure along the Northern Peninsula and across the island. I mean, infrastructure is a big one, highways, and if we got the revenue generated to take care of such, we generate the revenue from developing our resources. We don't need to be looking out for the handout from Ottawa to fix the problems we have here. We can fix our own problems and stop looking for that handout from Ottawa.
Exactly. So in Cormac in particular, like of course I find with all of the outports in different areas across Newfoundland, they have like some key thing that was their thing. You know what I mean? That caused people to settle there. So what is the history of Cormac? Like where do you see Cormac going in the future?
Well, Cormac was obviously it was founded under veterans after the war, and it was founded as an agricultural community by veterans. And it's heavily agricultural, and we're looking to continue to promote agricultural growth because we're in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. We are nowhere near food security and self sufficiency. We're a fraction of the way where we need to be for that, and we need to continue that growth in agriculture to promote it. Now, like you said, and Cormac's been a major key player in that, and the West Coast has been a major key player in that. But there needs to be a lot more, you know, uh, growth in the industry to promote food self sufficiency and security.
Especially when we're on an island, right? If
Yeah,
something
yeah,
happens to that ferry, we're kind of shagged up for a bit. I mean, I know what it's like in here when we get a bit of snow, everybody runs out and you can't get yourself a bag of potato chips.
yeah,
Storms coming, grocery stores get empty. And too, like with all the different chemicals and stuff like that, I would imagine that homegrown stuff, we can keep a better eye as to, how our fruits and vegetables and things like that are grown
yeah.
locally. That's awesome. So
I
have
think.
you noticed? Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Have you noticed changes? Sorry, I'm so full of questions. You gotta bear with me. I get excited when I get somebody on here that's right before the election. So, have you noticed changes in the municipality in regards to like how agriculture's been dealt with in Cormac? Have you found that the municipality or what's coming down to the municipalities is pro development of agriculture, or do you find that a lot of things have been clawing back the ability for Cormac and areas across the island?
Well, I think through the Department of Agriculture and through municipalities. I mean, they've put a big push on for growth in the industry, but I don't see the growth that should have been there with all the initiatives that they've implemented into the program. I mean, I have my own family farm myself. I've tried to push the growth in that aspect of it, but it's met with a lot of a 72-acre farm, two people trying to farm it. It costs a lot of money to get going. We did really great and we just didn't farm last year. But I think there needs to be, the municipalities have identified, and the Department of Agriculture have identified the land bases that we have that they want to keep for agricultural purposes. And I think that's a great initiative, is identifying that land and promoting growth in the industry. But instead of trying to go with all big commercial farms, if there was more initiatives there to promote smaller agricultural uh, businesses within industry, we might be able to see further growth and more help for smaller businesses to thrive, and more job creation.
Yeah, I think much of the same because like people here, outside the city, I live in St. Phillips. We're not allowed to have a lot of things. We're not allowed to have our own chickens. We're not allowed to grow anything. It makes it very difficult, and especially now with the increased cost of like food purchasing. Like a lot of people, if they could cut out a little plot of their own land and even just be self-sustainable in their own families, I think it's well, why not? That's the million
We
dollar
had that.
question. It's like, why not? Why
We
can't we
had
do
that.
that?
We had that. It's just gone to the wayside. Everybody's dependent on that trip to the grocery store to get what they need. When you can grow a lot in your own little plot in the backyard, that'll provide a lot of safe food for family consumption. I mean, and it gets people in the outdoors, and I think we got to get back to our roots, and people need to start putting in that family plot, whether it's 20 square feet or 100 square feet or 1 acre and beyond. I think people got to get back to growing their own food and being more self-sustainable in a home setting.
I would have to agree. I think that's a really great start. So, why independent, Robbie? Why did you pick to run independently instead of under one of the big banners, the ones that have the party lines and everything all laid out for you that you just got to walk the steps? Why did you say, "Okay, I need to do this on my own"?
Well, I mean, I've lost, like so many, we've all lost trust in the party politics. I mean, we saw how we were losing parliamentary democracy with the coalition between the Liberals and the NDP government, and what was happening there. I mean, I think a lot of I've lost faith in the system, and I think independent is, it'll give more voice and local voice for a district that, it pertains more locally to the district and the people within it, instead of a party line that's being told across the country. You can have more say for the people. You're only accountable to them,
Hmm.
and you can bridge across party lines within Parliament. To work. You can bridge across party lines to make what's important for your constituents happen for them, and not just one-sided party rule. So, I mean, I think it's a local first approach, initiative with independency, and it puts integrity in the system for the local people.
I would have to agree. The whole concept I ran a couple of years ago for PPC, and their platform promoted responsible immigration. It promoted a lot of things that I thought were very strong. Um, but I learned a little bit about how the whip works for mostly liberals and NDP and PC, which basically means if you don't follow what they believe is, the message for the whole country, like you said, it needs to be more independent to the people here in Newfoundland and Labrador, that you get in a whole bunch of trouble. So in some small ways, I think that the most brilliant part about you running for yourself as an independent is that you get to exercise free speech. Right? You get to promote the ideas of your independent writing. You get to bring forth the needs of your people, and you're not in conflict of anybody that's telling you that you got to speak a certain way. So this is really exciting for Newfoundland. Like I know that you're over in Cormac and we're over here, but if we can kind of learn from your independent candidacy, because I'm sure you're going to get in Cormac. Everybody I know that's over on that side of this island is voting for you, so
So,
congratulations in advance. But it'll give us an opportunity to get normal people involved back in politics. So I commend you for being a trailblazer over there. um let's talk about how the campaign is going. What are you finding? Like, are you finding that, I mean, there's always a little bit, politics is dirty, I know I lived it firsthand. Are you finding that you're getting a lot of criticism or a lot of backlash from other parties, or what are the challenges that you're finding with such a short election?
Well, it's I mean, getting out there and getting people to know who I am, what I'm about, and what I stand for. I mean, um, the constituents are my boss, will be my bosses, not Ottawa. So I mean, I'd love to be able to get out and talk to every one of them, but it's a short election time and trying to get the information out there. It's and trying to get out and about, and because it was such short notice. I mean, I couldn't um, convey myself to run in the election until it was called, and a lot of the other party, candidates are long campaigning prior to, and I think it's got to be word of mouth. It's got to get everything out on the radio what I can, and getting the platform out there that I'm trying to drive on this economic growth and development and job creation to see the growth that we need to retain our youth in this district. I mean, that's going to be key to Long Range Mountains and Newfoundland and Labrador. And I certainly hope I can get that message out there. At the end of the day, uh, I don't feel that the party politics system is going to act on our behalf. I mean, I'm 47, my birthday. Four decades of my life, I haven't seen nothing really change in this district with regards to party politics, and it's quite disheartening. And to see this district just plummet, and I just want to see that change to see the growth that we need to keep our youth home and grow our communities instead of see the decline that's happening in them through going through the riding. I
Absolutely.
mean,
So
you
for the
drive
people that are,
through the riding now, what was once vibrant is now.
oh, I hope we didn't lose them.
Oh,
Are you
no, I'm
here,
here.
Robbie? Okay, good. Um, we lost you
I'm
there
here.
for a
Can you hear
second.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So if
Yeah.
people wanted to connect with you and support you, maybe my gray man in the back here could put up your information. Do you have an email address or anything like that where people, like, say if somebody wanted to go canvassing on your behalf, or give you some support? How does anybody get a hold of Robbie Cole, the next MP for Cormac here?
Well, I got the Facebook page, Robbie Coles, independent candidate for Long Range Mountains. My own personal page, which is Robbie Coles. We have a website. It's robbiecoles.ca. And you can send me an email at info@robbiecoles.ca.
Okay, maybe we can get that going on the bottom of the screen while we're continuing our conversation. So you believe in accountability and transparency, obviously, because you've made that commitment that you're running for the constituents. You think the party lines, as I do, is too broad to be able to represent our specific needs here in Newfoundland. And I've heard some rumblings of an MOU, a memorandum of understanding. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that is and what that commitment looks like, the one that you're willing to make for the province?
So to get the MOU, so obviously the people of Newfoundland and Labrador, we need a mechanism to ensure both sides of party politics, provincial or federal, are acting on our best behalf. And it'll show transparency and accountability. So such an agreement would foster provincial and federal oversight committees to monitor government actions, review any major policy changes or decisions. It becomes a legal contract for elected officials to honor campaign promises, and
Mm.
its authority to initiate referendums or reforce elections when they don't act on our behalf. Uh, and it promotes public accountability and a democratic transparency. So I put the old scenario back to when all the MPs in Newfoundland and Labrador voted to increase the carbon tax on us, and we had no way to uphold them to not acting on our best behalf. So we need some measures put in place that when this happens, we have the ability to regain control of what's going on within government.
Well, I think that's absolutely brilliant. When I was on my campaign trail, I had I had been at a debate with Thompson, the MP for our area, and I was in this debate, and I watched them go, oh well, we're going to give this millions of dollars over here, we're going to give this millions of dollars over here, we're going to give this millions of dollars over here. It was like so wonderful. And I looked at the person that I call him my, my supporter, the one that helps me navigate through the politics on behalf of the party. And I said, how come I don't know how much money I have to spend? Like, how do I come in here and I debate these people and say I'm going to be able, I know I got this budget and this is how I'm going to chop it up. And the person that was helping me said, well, she doesn't know either. And I said, what? She said, yeah, the little child case that went before Parliament with the GST and stuff said basically politicians can completely lie to you because they have a commitment to the crown. So at that point in time, I was like, holy shit, I'm campaigning right now on like honesty and respect and with wanting to make things better. And this person over here is like showing up with lipstick and a magic carpet and saying that she's going to solve all the problems of the universe based on nothing. So this MOU that you're talking about sounds like a brilliant way for accountability because they should be, the elected officials should be there to support us and to listen to us and not make false promises. So I'm really excited to see where that's going to go. That's going to be amazing. That's going to be
Yeah.
amazing.
So I mean, at the end of the day, they're looking upon us to they're looking for a vote now to vote them in. So if we have no if they we have no way to have accountability and transparency and have a way to vote them out, say when they're not acting on our best behalf, or where's the accountability and transparency in anything?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of other things. Like I have so many questions and I'm going to try not to keep it too long. But with the gun control, what's your take on gun control in regards to like the hunting rifles and stuff that they're trying to kind of, remove from
Well, I
Newfoundlanders
mean,
and Labradorians?
well, once again, we woke up overnight and there was there was another stream of guns that were being removed, added to the list, and being taken away from law-abiding citizens. I'm an avid gun owner myself. I hunt, obviously. I'm a proud Newfoundlander, and I uphold my hunting tradition. And I totally disagree with what they're doing with this implementing this gun control program, and want to see it abolished. And there's 2 million law-abiding citizens across the country that want to see the same thing. So I think it's very key and very important that we do what we got to do to abolish this attack on law-abiding citizens for gun ownership.
Yeah, because most of the guns that are committing the crimes are illegal firearms, you know, and most
Yeah,
of them are
yeah.
illegal firearms. And Goody Hutchings is the only person in Newfoundland that's allowed to go hunting with the 22, apparently. She made a public statement that said that when she goes hunting, she only needs a 22, and that's illegal. So that goes back to like politicians making bullshit promises based on, I'm sorry, I don't mean to go on a rant, but making promises based on and telling bedtime stories to try to appease Newfoundlanders and to scare them into thinking that, you know, they don't need a certain caliber of gun to be able to go hunting. So yay, I'm glad that you're pro responsible gun ownership.
Not to
Another
mention the billions of dollars they're wasting.
the billions of dollars that they're waste. Yeah, well,
They're
apparently
wasting.
some of that
They're wasting on gun control.
money doesn't make it where it's supposed to go. So
No.
there's no accountability in the auditing department for some of these programs. They put out all this money and no guns come back, and all that billions of dollars and millions of dollars go on the wayside. So it'll be nice to have somebody in there on the Ottawa level, like an honest man, sitting up in Ottawa, coming back, going, "What the heck is going on over here?" You know, um, immigration. How do you feel about immigration?
Well, it's. I think we need to implement a responsible immigration policy where we initiate the support local first. I mean, I agree with immigration. If we do it responsibly, and with a support local first initiative, and train locals first for the jobs that are available, and and under the job gaps that we have, once we train and retain our youth and people who can fill those job gaps, once we've identified gaps that can't be filled locally, then we return to the responsible immigration side of things and use skilled immigration policy to push fill those gaps further. And I think with the implementation of the skilled immigration policy and filling the gaps first, local first, and using the immigration policies second, I think we can fill the required job gaps that we have within industries across Newfoundland and Canada and responsibly do it, so we don't put a strain on our healthcare system or a strain in other sectors like they've done with irresponsible, with mass immigration. That's why we have a housing crisis. That's why we have the healthcare crisis, because we've got too many people here and we're flooded the system. So we need to do it responsibly, and I think we can attain it responsibly, and we can um, implement the policies and changes we need to fast track the individuals we have here that are skilled immigrants right now, and make the fill the job gaps that we have. But
I
it's
would have
obviously a first local first approach.
I would have to agree. I always say, in order for us to be able to have people over for dinner, we first have to make sure we can feed everybody, right? So the key would be, from what my understanding of what you're trying to tell me, is that number one, we need to focus on economic growth, right? So that we can, just so that the normies that are just chiming in can catch up, because sometimes people come in the middle of the stream, that we need economic growth and development, and we need to have responsible immigration in order to be able to sustain hospitals, roadways, and things like that. And responsible immigration, like when people talk about being concerned about having immigration, it often deflects back to people saying that they're racist or any of those things, and it's very much not that. Newfoundland and Labrador has had immigrants coming to our province forever. you know this isn't a new thing for us. Like, I have friends that are here from Ghana that have been here for like 9 years and still can't get their family to come over. So they're going through the proper immigration process and can't seem to get their families in, which they've proven their taxpayers are hardworking people. But yet we still have an influx of unvetted immigrants, which I have to truly say, it's, from my understanding and from what I'm seeing, it's leading to increased crime because we're not vetting people properly. So I think responsible immigration is a great idea. Yay! I'm so excited. I wish you were running for premier of the province. Shag Cormac, come on in St.
You
John's
never
and
know
help
what
us
might
get
happen yet.
right. This could be the beginning of something truly
You never know
wonderful.
what might happen.
Yeah, but I don't know what the percentages of Newfoundlanders that are voting. Like, they have to actually start getting out and voting, Robbie, because it's like you can't have an opinion on politics if you don't, and what's happening in your environment, if you don't actually put yourself out there. Is there specific polling stations in your area set up for Monday that we could direct people to? Do you have a list of those that maybe we could put up online or maybe put in the comments for you later?
Yeah, I got it. It's all attached in my independent page there. I can get you a link to all the sites that are available through the riding for the last day of the advanced polls. And for Monday, I do have to update that list.
Okay. And have you got enough scrutineers in your area? Are you still looking for maybe some volunteers to just go and make sure that considering the 2021 election here in Newfoundland was before the Supreme Court, and the Elections Canada tried to say there was some that it was moot to look into the election fraud, but it's going to be heard in June. So I think, it's very important that you have scrutineers. So if anybody wants to help Robbie on the scrutineer department, his email address is down there on the bottom, because we need to keep a bird's eye view on some of these things, I
Any
think.
help I can get would be greatly appreciated.
Awesome. And one other big elephant in the room that Newfoundlanders are all hot and bothered about is bum 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 fisheries. Now, I don't know if Cormac's a big fishing area, but what's your take on what's going on with the fisheries? What do you think is happening there, and how do you feel Newfoundland parliamentary members should be proceeding with that?
So I grew up in a small fishing community, Parsons Pond up in Northern Peninsula. I mean, I grew up around it. I'm still very much ingrained in my body and soul. I go up and help out as much as I can when I can, lobster fishing or whatever I can get involved with. So, I mean, what we got going on right now is obviously from our quotas, our, our active species we're fishing and quotas and allocations, and from allocations to quotas, and then we got the inshore fishery, offshore fishery. What we got going on there is our inshore fishery is the cornerstone of our coastal communities. So we got corporate consolidation is trying to take over inshore fisheries in my eyes. I don't want to see that happen. I mean, we need to prevent it from happening. We got to have the fleet separation from inshore to offshore and get the right quota allocations to make our communities thrive and survive. Every dollar earned in the fishing industry locally stays mostly in the communities locally. So when it drives the industry and drives the community, and it's important to keep it there. And I think we need to, rebuild stocks. And a key aspect of rebuilding stocks is going to be obviously a HARP CO, a harvesting and marketing strategy that needs to be implemented, because we can't continue to leave a predatory species not being properly maintained and harvested.
They
We
eat
won't
everything.
see any yeah, we won't see no significant growth that we need in the species if we don't control the one main predatory species, you know, and it's gone to the wayside, and we need to revamp that. So obviously, it's the driver and the cornerstone of our coastal communities, and we need to do what we can to stop that corporate consolidation and keep inshore fisheries where they need to be in our coastal communities.
Brilliant. You've had a lot of time to think about these things, from what I'm understanding, Robbie. You haven't missed any of the marks. So, what else can we expect from you if you make your way to Parliament? What other things is chirping at the back of your ears that you'd like to improve on?
Well, I mean, I want to see the economic growth and development in long range mountains and across the province. I want to see resources being developed. I want to see communities growing, thriving, families potentially moving back here because of the growth. I want to see the whole area feel developed, and I want to see 100% of the royalties from it for Newfoundland and Labrador, which was promised to Quebec in 2011, which is in our jurisdiction of waters. I want to see 100% of the royalties, and I want to see an LNG facility on the west coast here. That's one thing I want to see. I want to see that drive of job creation to to make everyday living affordable for the people we have here, and that's the key driver to fixing our healthcare issues, our infrastructure, you know, the housing problem. When people can afford to live, they can afford a home. I mean, throwing out government builds to build low income and affordable homes ain't going to fix the problems we got in this district. We need obviously we need jobs, and we need people to fill those jobs to create economic growth and development that we need to survive. I mean, it's been in a steady decline for the last 40 years that I can see. I haven't seen no great development of resources in this district, and I see a lot of underdeveloped resources across the province. I mean, at the end of the day, if we can get those developed, we're going to get the growth and the revenues we need to make this place a better place for everybody.
I would have to agree. I always say to myself, it's like the reason I don't run for politics, because I'm a little bit too much, because I'm like, well, we've got Newfoundlanders grow up and they leave. That's what happens, because the opportunities are in the mainland, like
Yeah,
Alberta and places like that. And I'm like, okay, why do we pump oil, ship oil, and then buy oil from another country? It makes no sense to me, because Newfoundland is not landlocked. We have the capacity to be able to refine here. We could very easily, and ship right from here. Newfoundland could essentially be probably stronger than Norway in regards to, oil production and shipments around the world. So I really like to see some of that happen, because many of my family are across the country, like having to fly in and fly out of Alberta, and it makes no
yeah,
sense, because we can produce, and our process is really clean. Our offshore process, like, we have some of the cleanest oil production practices than anywhere else in the world. So,
So right now, all of our resources that we are, our oil and gas, our even our forestry products from newsprint, everything's being exported. I mean, we need to see local investment for manufacturing jobs. I mean, we can develop newsprint in Corner Brook from pulp. Why can't we develop pulp-based products in Corner Brook and get beyond and see the diversification in the industry to drive some local jobs in the economy in the local area? I mean, from forestry to oil and gas, everything is just getting exported. We need to see refining capabilities on the island. We don't refine one drop of oil here into gasoline for consumption on the island. We don't. We have a refinery that's sitting idle,
mhm.
and we got to stop exporting our resources and start seeing secondary manufacturing and production of them.
Well, and that comes back to the federal versus provincial stuff, right? Because the people that
Yeah.
typically represent us in parliament are governed by the party whip. So for me, the difference between party politics and independent candidacy is one is designed, independent is designed to push in Ottawa. And when you're ran by the party whip, they're pushing on the people. So the dynamics will be interesting to see when you're obviously going to have members of parliament from the province that are going to be PC and liberal or whatever, so it'll be interesting to see you jump in the mix where you don't have that that sense of control, and you're literally going to go to Ottawa to fight for the people. It changes the dynamics of everything, so good for
So
you.
another key issue, another key issue right now is it's obviously our seniors and veterans tax breaks and incentives for. I mean, we got seniors right now. Another thing I'd like to see is, well, I don't understand is why do seniors pay taxes on retirement money?
Makes no
I
sense.
advocate big time why they shouldn't have to pay income tax on their retirement funding. They should be able to with dignity and use the money they've already paid taxes on once to retire with dignity. So that's a
Well, and
key,
even
another key
property
issue.
tax.
And plus veterans. I mean, we got yeah. So we got veterans also. Veterans. We get young and old veterans. I mean, this community of Cormac was founded on veterans. So we got young and old veterans alike. So we got veterans with families and they don't have any health benefits. I don't understand why they have no dental, they have no eye care. They're basically all paying that out of their own pocket. Why should they be paying that out of their own pocket when they've already served our country? So that's I want to see benefits for seniors and or benefits for seniors and veterans alike. I think it's key and important to let they've served our country, they've paid their dues. I think they deserve it.
I'd much rather that than how our government has been misspending for certain things. Like, and I'm not discrediting anybody's desire to facilitate new immigrants in developing businesses, but when we have mental health and addictions that's out of control, right? We have our veterans and our seniors, which in particular the seniors are walking around at the Avalon Mall to try to stay warm because they can't afford their heat their houses. Like, it makes no sense that we would give $1 million to a startup business to teach people how to sew when all we have is seniors that would love to teach people how to sew for free, when that money could be utilized in different areas. So budget management probably is going to be one of your key things that you're going to look at and go, you know, does this spending
Yeah.
that we have happening here in Newfoundland really make sense?
Yeah, I think another thing also is like you said, we were talking about uh, addiction services. I mean, we need a total revamp of our addiction services and what's available for people to enroll in the programs in within the province and across the whole province. I think we need to really push that home because it's a real prevalent problem with addictions across the island. So we need a better addiction services and we need to work on that one as well.
We need to work on that one. But you know what? A lot of that comes from people being demoralized, right? Like the youth right now are
Yeah.
not finding work because of government subsidies
No.
for immigration. One of my girlfriends is having problems with her business. Well, was having problems with her business. And, she looked for a little bit of help after the COVID-19 crisis, and they offered her foreign workers. And she was like, well, I want to feed the people I have. right? So what happens
Yeah.
when people don't have work, they don't have purpose, they feel like they're being pushed down and suppressed on. Of course they're going to turn to more drugs and alcohol. They have more time on their hands. And with a crisis of having upwards to 70% of the population on some form of government subsidy, right? Where are we motivated? Where the youth is in
Yeah.
trouble if we don't get a grip on this province. I agree.
So one of the key problems I kind of figure what's happening with our youth before they even get a chance to get out and into the workforce and start making that money is obviously due to lack of jobs here. They come up through high school here in across the province, and they're wondering what can I know because I speak from experience. I had to do the same. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to work at when I graduate? And this is 25 years ago, 27 years ago. Like, what am I going to do? I had to pack up and leave and find work like everyone else. So I think a lot of the youth, I mean, I had the same problem, the disconnect that I was about to obtain by having to leave where I grew up to go find work to be able to live and afford to live. I think that's where a lot of our potential addiction comes from, is because of substance abuse, because of the thought that they're going to be have to pack up and leave, and they don't know what's in store for them outside of their home. So if we can create that economic growth and development that we can to create the jobs that we need, I think society will be a lot better place here in the district and across the province, and people will have a lot more opportunity and feel good about it.
Yeah, I think so too. I do. And I think the development concepts that you have with the fisheries and the oil industry, let's just hope you have some power of influence over the other MPs and that you give them a run for their money when you get up there in Ottawa. Because, like, there's a lot that they don't know about here. And it's not about the pension for you, it's
Yeah.
about the province, which I really, really was so excited to have the opportunity to talk to you today because most of the mainstream media is probably not giving you the same type of support as they're giving the liberal candidates in your area. Do you find that you're not having the same opportunities on
Mm.
the campaign trail as others?
Well, I mean, they just issued an article. CBC and St. John's issued an article and said there was only basically three candidates running. That the incumbent Goody Hutchings was potentially pushing a rookie politician here in the near future, and they only highlighted three of the candidates and put myself, and the PPC candidate in the last sentence of their article without any follow up to who we were, or are, or reflect anything about us. So I mean, it was being a bit biased in my opinion. Since I mean, you read the article, I do believe I'm the only one with 8 years of municipal politics under my belt. So I don't know where they're talking about everybody being uh, has no experience in politics because I got 8 years of it. So I mean, if they want to be biased to that point, I can get pretty biased myself. And
Right. But that's because you can't be, you're not being controlled. So for everybody that's watching, I'm just going to take a second and just take a minute, everybody, and share this video out because the stuff that's happening in this video with the MOU, the support of independent candidates, this is huge. And if Robbie's not going to get a fair shake with mainstream media, then we have to be the not CBCs. We're the ones that bring you the real news. So please give this video a share. Right? It's so
yeah,
frustrating. It is so frustrating. And
well,
the government funding that goes, like they're looking at increasing funding for CBC and the Liberal Party. Like, how are we supposed to be even have a functioning fair election when the media and stuff is being paid for? And you have limited resources, you're not supported by a party. It's nice to see.
no.
It's like when what is it they always say? When people see a little, what is it? A little David in you, they know there's a Goliath or whatever. Something like that.
Yeah.
You have big challenges, but obviously you've got the fire to make it happen. Don't forget our
Yeah, it's
family
one
farms.
another key thing. Uh, I mean, family farms across the island. That's another issue that's out there. We can't lose the disconnect with those. I mean, the family farms that we do have, we have to make sure that they're getting the uh, support that they need to thrive and continue to work towards food self sufficiency and security and across the island. And it drives local produce locally to people, and So we got to make sure that they have what they need to thrive and survive also. And but another thing I'm going to bring up is that it's been brought to my attention by family friend that in our education system right now at the university levels, like say radiologists, for instance, it's a radiologist technicians. We have a lot of youth going through programs as such that require extensive work terms, and it's come to my attention that these students are paying tuition to go to university, and they're working these year long work terms, and they're not getting paid any money while they're working these work terms. So they're working 7 8 hours a day and not making any income while they're doing it to obtain the hours that they need to finish their education. And these are professionals that are looking to get work potentially in our districts, in our hospitals, and whatever trade they decide. But at the end of the day, they're not receiving any work term wages while they're doing it. So I think that's another thing we're really going to have to look into. They're not even receiving minimum wage, and they're pulling 8 hour days
That
for
should be
sometimes
illegal.
their work terms are as high as a year for whatever. Yep,
That should
no,
be
that's a
illegal.
big issue. How can
That
they
should be
support
illegal.
themselves? So they
Yeah.
can't get jobs. They can't get jobs anywhere because they're being filled by immigration, which responsible immigration would at least leave a job open for them to get to support their way through university, and
Mhm.
then they're not getting any income through their work terms besides. So we gotta one's got to let up one or the other one's got to let go for the other. I mean, we can't totally continue to throw our youth to the side, or I say youth, but it could be professional adults.
Well,
So
they
we
might
can't
have
continue to
children
throw
and
these people
a
to the side.
family, right? If they have children and a
Yeah,
family, how are they supposed to be able to provide for their family while they fulfill that part of the training? Yeah, good
yeah.
point.
So I think it's
They should
and
absolutely
and we
be
get
able
back
to.
to the ever prevalent problem of finding plottable daycare while they're doing it. Also, that's a big issue for families. Also in the district, I found that they've been talking about daycare services as an ongoing issue for them to be able to go out and work and find support for their family or while they're attending school. So, I mean, there is some incentives available through educational institutions, but I mean, that's another thing we need to look at. In order to get the professionals we need to fill the jobs that we got gaps in, we need to make it easy for them.
Well, I had an interesting concept, and this didn't come from you, by the way, so I'm not putting words in Robbie's mouth. But I was like, what about a hybrid social um, work system? So if we have 70% of the population on either government subsidy or something like that, what about if we did like a retraining program for everybody that's on social assistance and can't find a job? And instead of taking them and throwing them into the workforce, how about we create opportunities where they get retrained for things like childcare that they're already being paid for by the government? Like if somebody that works for the city of St. John's are making like $70,000, and if we have a family of four on social assistance, we can't get our snow removed on the highways, but we've got a whole bunch of young men that can't find work that have families. Why wouldn't we just train a whole bunch of
Yeah,
snow drivers and give them opportunities so that they could get off the government system? That's food for thought, job creation wise.
yeah. Well, you see someone commented there, they're 29, they can't get a job because they don't have a trade or any experience. But how do they get experience if they can't get a job? I mean, that's an ever prevalent problem here. And when you do get a job, you're grossly underpaid because they expect Newfoundlanders to accept the East Coast. What did they call it 1 years ago? The East Coast standard. That really puts a shiver through my spine when I hear the East Coast standard. That's the East Coast standard. So we got to step up and tell them we're done with the East Coast standard. We're no different than anyone else in this country.
We demand better. That's what we should be doing. Nope. We're not going to do this anymore because we're going to have first Robbie Cole become the mayor, or the mayor of Cormac in Newfoundland, become a member of parliament. And then next election, we're going to sweep the whole entire island with independent people that are going to change the face of this province. That's my hope. Any final
I
notes for
think that's
you?
the direction we need to go. We need to take back our politics.
We do, and then we have to take back our province. We have to take back our resources. We have to take back our fisheries, and we have to take
Um,
back our families.
Yeah. So bottom line, we need, I think, the resource development and diversification and driving our economy to create the growth that we need to make our province, excel and create jobs, attract our people back, keep the people we have, and attract people home. Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of people, if they had the opportunity to move back here, they would move back here if the jobs were here. And I think that's where we lie. We're lacking in that department of creating the jobs that we need to grow our province where it needs to be. We should never have gotten in the situation we're in. We should have been well on our way to economic stability.
Yeah, we should definitely not be the stepchild of the country when we're the most richest and resources of all, almost. Right? This never should have happened. It's poor
Yeah.
management and it's federal politics as opposed to provincial interests being protected for sure. Norway went through a similar thing, apparently. Norway actually went bankrupt because they weren't getting what they were supposed to from their initial oil companies that they were interested in. So what they did is they kicked them out of Norway. They were like, nope, get out of here. We don't want you. You're not doing good things for our environment. You're not taking care of us. And then Norway opened himself up with proper contracts with other oil industries after, and they became the most successful oil producing place almost in the whole entire world. So the change can happen, but it has to start with the people and it has to start with the Newfoundland first mentality. And I know that sounds like a Trump
I think
cliche,
I think
but it's not.
we won't, if we can have control of it and keep Ottawa's hands out of it. I think we can find the investors and growth the investors we need to grow the industries we have. I mean, they offered 100% of the royalties of the whole area to Quebec, so why can't we have 100% of it since it's in our water? Why do they think they have jurisdictional rights over our water?
Right? These are the things that we're hoping that you're
Yeah,
going to come back from Ottawa and explain to us. And, as somebody who is very in love with the geopolitical climate, like I follow politics, nothing moves without me knowing about it. I'll be very excited to see what you come back from Ottawa with. And if you need any support for anything that might seem a little off colored, or you need a little bit of shove along the way, or the not CBC support, I just want to let you know we're here for you because everything
yeah.
you say makes common sense. Like it makes
My
sense.
my last words. Yeah, my last words to the constituents of Long Range Mountains and Newfoundland and Labrador is that I'm not going to be that person that disappears if I'm elected in. Your voice is what matters, and your problems are what need to be fixed. Bottom line, because your problems are my problems. Because I'm just like you guys. That's the bottom line.
Well, thank you so much, Robbie, for giving us your time today. As you can see on the bottom of the screen, you can find Robbie at info@robbiecoles.ca. If you are open to being a scrutineer or giving him some support, you can reach out to him, as well as we will post the polling stations that are available in his area. And let's give him a share in support. And by all means, feel free to share the MOU, which we will also post in the comments on these videos. Um, to your members of parliament that you might be interested in thinking that they might be a potential candidate. I mean, Robbie's in Cormac, so we know he's in like, a dirty shirt, or should be. But in the areas where we still have questions about what is right for the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, I thank you so much, Robbie, for joining us today. I wish you the best of luck. I'm going to be here on Monday night with my hair up in a bun, like watching the internet, going like, what's going to happen? So I wish you the best of luck, and everybody that's watching is going to share out this video in support for you. And you're a solid man. I wish you and your family the best of luck and the best of success on Monday. Thank you so much. Well, that was Robbie Cole from Cormac. Tell me that didn't make the most sense to you from any other politician that you've heard on the island. As I said before, we are not CBC. He doesn't seem like he's getting much of a attraction with the mainstream media. Whether that's intentional or not, maybe. So it's up to us to share his message to the rest of the other candidates, because what he's talking about makes a whole lot of sense to us. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to reach out to the NL Accountability Project with www.nlaccountability.ca. You can reach us via email through that site and find a little bit more about what we are doing to try to keep you educated as to what's happening in this province. And if you have something to share, or you would like us to help you accelerate your voice in a matter that is of concern, by all means, reach out. Thank you so much for watching. Dana Metcalf here, and have a wonderful evening. And don't forget to vote.